Hey man, so tell me a little bit about Kenny Omega, because I know he's a Canadian wrestler, but you also have a 5-star match here with, I'll mispronounce the name, Tetsuya Naito on August 13th. Yeah. So tell me about that match. And
that match was great too. Kenny's he's a super talent. And he's always been a super talent, but in time, he's 33. He's had a lot of experience. He really knows Japan better than almost anyone because he's been there for so long. He started with a small promotion, DDT, and then he moved on to New Japan a couple of years ago, and it's like everything's. It's just how the guy you find like the light. There were like flaws in his game before. I hate to say that about a guy that was so spectacular, but I always thought that like he overacted in certain ways and was over dramatic, and it was almost like. It's like it was a guy who had all the tools to do anything, but it felt like he was putting on a show rather than a fight.
Right.
And in the last year, I'd say in the last year, he was put in the position when AJ Styles was the top foreign guy there, and AJ went to WWF. So Kenny got the call. It's like it's your time, and boy did he take advantage of it. He had some of the best matches of the year, all year. Every singles match that he had was spectacular, almost too much because he does so much physically in these matches that it's you go like how do you keep recovering from it? But he's got a mind for it. He's got incredible athletic ability, and that's he's got like he's got explosiveness. He's strong. He's great body control, and thinks about the business 24/7. So he's always plotting it out and everything like that. So it's like he's become a real complete package in the last year, and he can talk too.
But how is he physically? Because he kind of reminded me a little bit of AJ Styles as he caught that air out of the ring on the backdrop onto that table. That table spot looked pretty precarious because that didn't look like one of those working tables, damn near a shoot table.
No, it wasn't.
Kind of flies through the air like AJ, but in that sense, he doesn't remind me of AJ like, AJ does this guy does that. They're completely separate. I would say, I would agree with your point. Great body control, great athlete, but not in the mold of AJ. He's just another badass hand. That being said, what's the wear and tear on his body, or what have you heard? And then if he doesn't stay,
he's got wear and tear. That's why like Yeah. I mean, you're gonna. He's 33. He's been doing it for
16 years.
He
debuted in
I'm
2000.
not sure. Yeah. So he and for the last several years on a pretty hard Japanese schedule. So that's again, like I don't know what he's doing now, and he's kind of playing a game where he wants everyone not to know what he's doing now. But it's kind of like when I look at it from his perspective, and I know he loves Japan, I almost think that it's like this. You're never going to be hotter. And WWE is looking for a new top guy. I mean, I think they think that they got it in Roman Reigns. But when I look at everything, I mean, he's younger than AJ. He's taller than AJ. He's got a good body. He's got a good look. He's got good promo. I mean, if you look at all the guys that they got that they're grooming to be top guys. I mean, AJ's 39. Roman has certain issues. I mean, he's very good, but he's not over with the crowd, and he's not a great promo. And Kenny's got more of everything than anyone on that roster has. I mean, I think he's, compared to some of the other guys, he's more solid as a worker than Ambrose. I think he's a better talker than Rollins. And he hasn't been damaged like Rollins has to me by the booking because he's fresh. Right. So it's like I look at this and go like he could be like the guy, like the replacement that they've been looking for Cena. I don't know that they think that, but when I look at him, I think that this guy's got all the tools now. It is a different system. Sometimes when guys come over, they have that Japanese mentality and they don't adapt and it doesn't work. But AJ also proved that it can work because he's done phenomenal since he's come in.
AJ's kicked ass. I'm so proud of that guy, and I'm so happy for him for as long as he's been around to finally get the shot. And to be, man, quite honestly, a tad on the undersized spot for, working for a Vince McMahon promotion, to rise as high as he has, and has just had some absolutely phenomenal matches, no pun intended. This kid here, Kenny Omega, when you look at the Japanese system, and you kind of got a ballpark idea, Dave, of what guys are making. Do top Japan guys make that good of money? Because
not like
United States
not
money
like
would be a
top
lot
WWE
better.
guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good, but it's not. You can't. It's just not. I mean, if you look at the size of the companies, I mean, as New Japan is the number 2 company in the world, but it is a distant number 2. I mean, it really is. If you look at the revenues, it's legitimately like 1/20th of WWE, and I'm not exaggerating. It's 1/20th of WWE as far as revenue. I mean, it's still a profitable company. It's a successful company in their market. They're very, they're strong. They draw big crowds. But WWE is a worldwide machine, and it's like, as much as a lot of people like that Japanese thing as an alternative, you also got to look at the reality of a guy and a stage in your career. Again, at 33, maybe at 29, he may want to stay. He's not feeling the bumps as much. At 33, you're looking at like, how many more years am I going to do this? And I can make a lot more money over here. And also the other thing with WWE is you get worldwide fame and you can live off that WWE name, long after your full-time days are over, whereas your New Japan name, if you're only in New Japan, you're not going to have that big name in the United States and the rest of the world. You'll only be big in Japan.
And jumping through the window, if he was to leave Japan and go to WWE, man, with the skill set that guy has, the ability that he has, and the size that he has, he could do extremely well if booked properly. So then, it's a Kenny Omega personal thing of, hey, do I love what I'm doing in Japan just because I love wrestling and I like it over here? I feel safe. Or, is it his dream to come to WWE, which is, it's the big league. If you want to make the most money, that's where you've got to go. And that's tried and true. And that's just the way it is. So at 33, with a guy as much talent as that he has, if he were to make the jump, man, the future's wide open. He would have very great possibility of making a lot of money because I think that the WWE has some very talented guys. But to your point you made earlier, I think this guy's about as talented as there is out there.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I would worry about in the sense is that he's a really good promo, but if you watch his promo, it's that believable promo, and it's a unique delivery of a promo. I mean, I think he would still bring the unique delivery into WWE, and it gets some people kind of think it's kind of weirdish, but it's like when you watch him do like a scene, he does a scene almost like an actor in a way, but when he talks, it's like it's very gripping in the sense of and his whole thing is he's very confident in his ability to have matches and have great matches and things like that. But again, like in a scripted environment, I don't know how he will do. I mean,
that's what scares me, Dave. That's what scares me when all of a sudden you're boxed in or you're written for, and man, sometimes for some guys that spells disaster.
Yeah, because again, one of the things that gets his promos over is that when I watch his promos, I believe every word he says, and that's not necessarily the case with all wrestlers or even with most wrestlers. But I watch him and he grips me, and the way he talks and everything like that. But if he's out there doing, and a lot of times when I watch WWE, one of my big pet peeves, and I know it's yours too, is I'm watching the verbiage and I go, this character would not talk like this in real life, and then I don't give a shit about the rest of the interview. You know what I mean? It's like that click-off thing where people are using words that you don't use in real life or that aren't consistent with what my feeling of his character should be or what his character used to be. You know what I mean? Like like a guy just throw out a name like Lawler, right? I watched Jerry Lawler for so many years that it's like when he starts using words that he doesn't use and uses phrases that he doesn't use when he's reading from a script, I'm just going like, I don't buy it. But then granted, I watched him for so long, but you get that with other guys when they use words that like people in real conversations don't use. It's just like it no longer connects, and that's what I'm wondering with him because his interviews do connect really well.
But what style of interview is he doing over there in the Japan system?
Video. He does like video interviews and things like that. It's just talking about his philosophies on wrestling and again how important the championship was to him. And I think that again I don't know him, so this is hard. But I know people who know him and everything. I think that there really was a disappointment he didn't go over, and it was funny because when I'm watching the match and part of me was going like, this is the time, there'll never be a better place. It's the Dome, it's the big spotlight thing. But when he lost, I really did think, you know what? it's going to mean more when he wins it because he had to fight harder to get it. So I wasn't against the loss. A lot of people were, but I wasn't. But I got the sense that, you know, in his mind, like, this is the biggest thing, and this was and you know, when you're there and you're in the middle of the match, you know, sometimes you have that thing of like, hey, you know, what's planned may not be the right thing for this minute. You know what I mean? And but it's already done. It's the decision's out of your hands. And I kind of sensed that he may have been in the middle of that match going like, this is really the time and the place. And then when it was over, it was kind of like a disappointment because, you know, it was out of his hands and that wasn't the decision the company wanted to go with at this point. But he may have won them over to the point where they go, okay, you know, it's like, no doubt about it, he drew a big house, he's got everything, you know, down the line, we're going to go with him. I mean, I've got to think that they're thinking that way. I've got to. I mean, no one's told me that, but I thought it was just too, you know, sometimes it's so obvious when you look at it that you go, they got to be thinking that because it's too obvious not to think that.
Yeah, but wasn't it maybe also a case of management or ownership? If he's not signed or if his deal is expiring, we don't know what this guy's going to do. Just if we put the belt on him, doesn't guarantee that he's going to stay.
No, if he has actually not signed, I don't think that they could have put the belt on him because, again, you know, how can you again, I don't know if he signed a new deal, but I know his old deal is up January 31st.
Right.
So if he's like has the contract but hasn't signed and it's January 31st, you know, then you can't even consider putting the belt on him and then have him go to WWF in February. I mean, that's just bad. That's bad business. We've seen that done plenty of times and it's never good. So yeah, if that's part of it. But if he had signed, you know, and I know that he's saying he hasn't, but I'm not sure exactly. You know, everyone's talking about him and everything like that, and he's playing it up for all it's worth. But it is interesting, you know, John Cena endorsing him and everything. So and from a WWE standpoint, he should. So I think the guy's in a great position right now.